Thank you so much. So Basi legani Tafshim Mem is a Maamar which the Rebbe edited. It's a mugadige Maamar, but the Maamar is written pretty bekitzer. It's the hanocha of the Maamar was in the way that the Rebbe said it, which is very bekitzer. It's not written out, spelled out by arichas. When the Rebbe was Magia the Maamar, the Rebbe added at the heading of the Maamar hanocha. So there are some parts of the Maamar that are very bekitzer and not so easy to understand. It's not so easy to understand the flow of the Maamar and so on. Let's see. Let's try to go through it and understand what's going on here. Yeah. Basi legani achaisi kalo maybe as a quick dishes might have come out more bala lula be Maamar Rebbe stalkes vai lula shaloi. So the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Maamar that was printed for the day that he passed away, the day of his yahrzeit. So the Frierdiker Rebbe brings the medrash Isa be medrash Rabbe legani legnuni. That the word legani, my garden, is the private place that the Eibishter comes back to in this world, which is also a gnuni, a chuppah that's designated for a chassan and a kala. The Eibishter is returning to the place where his primary residence, his primary dwelling was in the beginning of creation. On page Lamed. The Ikke Shchine, the primary presence of the Shchine b'tachtonim Moisa, was here below in this world. Through the negative things that happened, the Shchine was concealed and went higher and higher away from the world. The presence of Hashem is removed or concealed, going higher and higher, until the Shchine gets elevated to the seventh heaven, and following that, seven tzaddikim came into the world, and bring the Shechina back down, the presence of the Eibishter back down here in this world, until finally, Moshe Rabbeinu, the seventh of these tzaddikim, comes, and all seventh are cherished, and brings the Shechina back down here in this world at the time of Matan Torah, and then by building the Mishkan. This is the meaning of what the pasuk says, that the tzaddikim inherit the land. And the simple pshat of Yishkenu La'ad Olel means that they live in it forever. But the pshat that Chassidus always says is that Ad refers to the Eibishter, which exists for eternity. And the Yishkenu, they bring down to dwell on it in the land, Ad, the level of Hashem, which is eternity. What is the Avodah of Tzadikim? Lahashkin or lahamshech, to bring down and to make dwell as a Shechina Momayla Lamata, the Shechina here below in this world. Bechinas Ad, the level of Ad. When it says La'ad, it refers to the Eibishter, which exists for eternity. Kamay shehi bechinas sheichin Ad marim v'kadosh, which you could see in the nusach that we say in davening, that the Eibishter dwells forever and the Eibishter is exalted and holy. Yashkinu alel, so the Yidden bring the Eibishter down here in this world. Lamata ba'aretz, by lamhaza tachten she'ein tachten lamata mimenu. Here in this world below, in a place where there's nothing lower than this world. Hinei yaschol asam shachal lamata, the beginning of bringing the Eibishter down here in this world. Shal Yidei Moshe, which was accomplished through Moshe, Haisa Beis Matan Torah. That happens at the time of Matan Torah. K'moshe Kosav Vayered Avai al Har Sinai. The Eibishter descends on Har Sinai. Avol, so although the Eibishter did come down Lamata at the time of Matan Torah, however, B'kviyas and B'galoi, in a more permanent way and a more revealed way, Hayazeh Ba'asiyas HaMishkan. It was when the Yidden built the Mishkan, and Moshe Rabbeinu was the one that erected the Mishkan. Built for me a mikdash, and there I will dwell amongst you more permanently. So let's take a look in Orah 7, because the lashon of the Maamar here is that in the Mishkan the Eibishter dwells bekviyas, permanently. So the Rebbe addresses a question on that expression. Although shebe'erech Orah 7 on the bottom, footnote 7. Shebe'erech beis hamikdash nikra oil. Although in the pasuk in Shmuel, when it talks about the Mishkan, it refers to the Mishkan as a tent, which means that it's only a temporary dwelling for Hashem. And if you compare it to the Beis HaMikdash, which was a permanent place in Har HaMoriah and Yerushalayim, that is the permanent dwelling of Hashem. So the Beis HaMikdash is a temporary dwelling. So that's if you compare it to the Beis HaMikdash. But comparing the presence of Hashem that was dwelling in the Mishkan, legave Matan Torah, which was a one-time thing, and as soon as Matan Torah was over, the Shekhinah was removed, and the mountain did not retain any of its holiness, so the Mishkan is considered to be a place where the Eibishter is there permanently. And then the Rebbe adds another point, there is a certain level of permanence that we see in the structure of the Mishkan that you do not have in the Beis HaMikdash. Dafke Maisa Moshe Nitzchiyim. The Gemara in Saita says it's specifically the Mishkan that was erected by Moshe Rabbeinu that is the Kroshim, the Kalim, and everything of the Mishkan remains intact. It was hidden below the ground and it remains there for eternity. The Beis HaMikdash that was built later, the first and second Beis HaMikdash, were destroyed and burnt. But Dafke Maisa Moshe has a certain level of permanence and it exists for eternity. So therefore, the Lashon Kviyas that Moshe brought the Eibishter into the Mishkan, in a way, is even more than the Beis HaMikdash itself. Back into the Maamar.
So you touched Kviyas as a permanent dwelling?
Yes, the word Kviyas means permanent. Mamshech ba Maamar, the Friediger Rebbe continues explaining in his Maamar, Sham Shachas dike Shechina b'tachteinem, bringing down the primary presence of Hashem here below, v'shachanti b'soicham, nasis l'idei avodas hapchach hasheichel l'nahira, is accomplished through transforming darkness into light. It's interesting that Rebbe skips the stage of his skafia, goes straight to his hapcha. We're going to transform the darkness into light. This is the significance of the fact that the walls of the Mishkan were built specifically through atzei shittim, wood that are called in Hebrew shittim. Shemehem nasa kroshim, k'mashkasav asisa sakrashim, the Mishkan atzei shittim ma'imdim. The kroshim, the beams, the walls of the Mishkan are built out of the atzei shittim. So what is the significance of the word keresh, and what is the significance of the word shittim? And what's the connection between the two? So the Friediger Rebbe explained in the earlier Isias of the Maamar on page Lamed. Keresh or Isias sheker. The word keresh is the same letters as the word sheker. This is the falsehood of the world. And as we learned in the Maamar, the Friediger Rebbe, what is the ultimate falsehood of the world? That the independent existence, that it feels that I exist and it doesn't recognize the source of Hashem that creates it every moment. Habal, now the sheker of the world is a result, when a person is overcome by the foolishness of Ulumazeh. If a person is indulged in the gashmias of the world and allows the gashmias, the chumrias of the world to take control of his life and take control of his mind, so then a person doesn't see the truth of the world for what it is. If a person is focused and he allows his neshama to be revealed, then a person doesn't see the world for the falsehood that it presents itself to be. A person sees the truth of the Welt. As it's quoted, the Gemara, the Alter Rebbe Tanya quotes, quoted there in the Maamar, a person will not sin unless he's overcome by a spirit of foolishness. If there wouldn't be this spirit of foolishness, so it's interesting, in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says that without the spirit of foolishness, a person would recognize the life of his soul, that his soul does not want to disconnect from its source for even one moment. And just like every normal person, the most basic desire of a person is to preserve his life, the same is also by Ruchnias. Every normal person wants to preserve the Ruchnias, the lifeline of his neshama. If a person can't breathe and he has chas v'shalom, he has to rely on a machine to breathe. So if you step on that line that he has to be able to breathe, that's the most painful thing for a person. So for the neshama has that sensitivity as well, that it feels that that's its line of connection. And when a person sins and he's cutting off that line or that life of his neshama, that's a ruach shtos. That's a person is overcome by foolishness. That's been a get to the neshama. But here in this Maamar, the Friediger Rebbe uses this Inyan of Ein Adam Moiva Aveda Elon Kein Nichnas by Ruach Shtos, that the Ruach Shtos covers over our perspective of seeing what the Metzias of the world is. What's the world that we live in? Is it a place which is being controlled and not only controlled but sustained and created every single moment? and it's not separate of Hashem, even one iota, the whole existence of the world is all bottled to the Eibishter? Or do we see the world as independent? Do we see the world as the Teva, and Kan Nimtza, Kan Hoya, and we put so much energy into Teva? That's also part of the Ruach Shtos, having the wrong perspective of the Metzius of the world. So now we build the walls for the Mishkan through the Kroshim, and the Kroshim are made of the material of Atzei Shittim. So what is the significance of taking Atzei Shittim and building Kroshim out of it? To transform the foolishness, the spirit of foolishness, in the opposite side, to bring it into Shtus de Kedusha. That a person should be ready to be dedicated to the Eibishter, to serve Hashem beyond reason and logic. The dedication of a Yid should go the Shtus that's L'mayla mitam v'das. Atzei Shittim. As a Sheked Ha'olam, transforming the falsehood of the world, L'kedesh HaMishkan, into a beam for the Mishkan, Kroshim LeMishkan. And what this accomplishes is V'shachanti b'saychem, that the Eibishter comes and dwells amongst us. Hamshachas ikke shchina b'tachtainim, bringing the primary presence of the Eibishter here below. The Friedrich Rebbe in the Maamar brings the diuk, the wording of the pasuk, that it says V'shachanti b'saycham, I will dwell amongst you, using a plural term. B'saycha le'nema, doesn't say b'saycha just referring to the Mishkan. El b'saycham, which means b'saych kol echad v'echad, the Eibishter dwells within every single yid. B'chol echad v'echad mi Yisrael, within every single yid. Al yidei ha'aveda this hapcha chasheichel and ha'hayre, through his aveda, where he transforms darkness into light in his life. Al yidei zeh shaychim boy ikesh china. The primary dwelling, the dwelling of Hashem dwells in the person. As it was in the beginning of the creation, that this is where the primary presence of Hashem was. And therefore the pasuk says, Basi, legani, that the Eibishter says, I'm returning to my garden, to my private place where I was. The place where the Eibishter was in the beginning of creation. This accomplishes the kavan of the Eibishter, that the Eibishter's primary dwelling should be in this world here below.
It's interesting because Sheker will always say en legani.
Yeah.
And over here it becomes a keresh, which is actually
a very steady and firm beam to hold it up. Very good, okay. When you transform it into holiness, not only yesh le raglayim, but it's even more powerful. There's the yisr nar metech cheshech. It's even more than stam taking oil. Yeah.
So the permutation of what becomes also a kesher, that's also from the
kesher? That what? To create the kesher? Yes, it's there.
Is that only
yes.
It's in the Friedrich Rebbe's
I believe so.
Also, the Kroshim are interconnected, so that's why they have it.
They're linked to each other. With the Brichim and the Adonim. Okay.
It's also the right seder. Keresh is kufrei shin as opposed to sheker.
As the right side of the Aleph base.
Yeah.
They had two parts. The
sockets, the Adonim.
Sockets, and plus they had two regulaim.
Yeah. I believe it says that the two Adonim connected to Ava and Yira. I don't remember now, but it's all these in Yonim, Beruchnis that explains, yeah. Yeah, so this is the kitzer of the first ice of, not first actually, the first 9 ices of Basi legani. Then from here, Beis Gimel, the Rebbe will weiter go into the rest of, starting Bikkur from Gimel actually, the Rebbe will go into the rest of the ices, Ice Yud of the Maamar that's Negei for this year. Now we know, and this is actually in the Shir of Tanya. Are we starting Perikid Zayin today, or is that tomorrow? Tomorrow. Okay, so this is the famous line of the Alter Rebbe in the beginning of Perikid Zayin, that everything in Torah is eternal. How I move on, so it's understood. This idea here, to build a mikdash for the Eibishter, and the Eibishter dwells amongst you, who nitzchi b'meshach kol hadayros, is an eternal thing in all generations. Gam bezman hagolus, including in the time of Golus, kashem mipnei chateinu, galinu martzeinu, v'nisrachaknu balad maseinu, when because of our sins we've been exiled from our land and we are very far from our earth in Eretz Yisrael, and we don't have the Beis HaMikdash. Shegam oz yeshnam beruchnius. Even then, we have spiritually kol ha'erois v'ha'mitzvahs d'chsiv bu v'chai bem. All of the lessons and all of the mitzvahs, where the Torah says v'chai bem, that the mitzvahs give you life. Hatluyais b'mishkan ha'mikdash. that are dependent or that exist within the Mishkan and the Mikdash. So everything, the Mishkan and the Mikdash is the walls, and there's the Kalim in the Mishkan and the Mikdash, every specific Aved in the Mishkan, the Korban Tamid, and the Chattas, and the Oila, and the Shlamim, all of these things exist today by Ruchnis as well. The same is also true regarding the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, that there's an eternal message for each one of us in this redemption. And even before the redemption, the Golus of Mitzrayim, which we're learning now in the parashas of Shmois and Ve'era, the story of the Yidden in exile in Golus Mitzrayim, Shemay Rois Nitzchis B'chol Dor V'Dor. The Torah is not just describing the Golus to appreciate the chesed of Hashem when He took us out of Mitzrayim, but the actual description of the Golus itself is a lesson for us today. Ad hayom hazeh, until today. So the Rebbe clarifies what's the lesson for us today. Not chas v'shalom that Yidden today should experience any of the difficulty and tzaddis that the Yidden had then when they had to work b'chaymer b'leveinim in Mitzrayim, but whatever the Yidden experienced then, we can experience today differently. Beruchnius, kamoishi yidua, it's well known. The Alter Rebbe says in Torah, b'inyi vayimoru es chayeyim b'aveda kosha b'chaymer b'leveinim. The Yidden's life was made to be bitter, with hard work and with mortar and bricks. Shagam achshav b'golos ha'achrayin, today as well, yeshno ha'aveda the chaymer b'leveinim. There's also the aveda working with mortar and bricks. Kamoishi beruchnius. But today we could be yaitze this aveda kosha by having it beruchnius. B'chaymer, dokal v'chaymer. Chaymer refers to a person that immerses himself in learning Torah, and he's learning a kal v'chaymer in Torah. U'b'leveinim do libin hilchasa. Leveinim does not have to be bricks, to schlep bricks, physical labor, but to clarify a halacha, to learn a halacha in Torah. This is a very important point, because Alter Rebbe there basically says that it's a choice a person has to make. If a person is, like the Lashon of Chazal really, if a person is makabel upon himself oil Torah, it's mavirim mimenu oil derech eretz. Then the Eibusher removes from the person the oil that he has of derech eretz, of parnasa. If a person removes oil Torah, the yoke of Torah, then the Eibusher places upon him the oil of derech eretz. So today, the Eibusher gives us the ability, even more than then, when the Yidden were in Mitzrayim, to replace the physical labor and the physical suffering with a person harving in Torah, to have that type of galus instead. There's three shittas there in the Gemara: amal malacha, amal sicha, or amal Torah. Right. So if you choose amal malacha, that will be your amal. You can choose amal sicha, which is davening, or even higher, amal Torah. Yeah. Amal means toil, to work hard. Through the avodah of galus, we will be zeicher to the upcoming redemption. Bedugmas hagula de Yetzias Mitzrayim, similar to the way it was when Yidden were redeemed from Mitzrayim. Lachreya avodah kosher b'chaymer b'leveinim, that Yidden was zeicher to following and through their hard work with the mortar and bricks. Uvnei Yisrael yaitzim b'yad rama, the Yidden go out with an outstretched hand when the Eibusher takes them out of Mitzrayim. If you remember, we learned in the Maimarim of Tavshimem, and the Maamar of Shmois Tavshimem is actually the Chavdal Tevis Maamar of Tavshimem, where the Rebbe explained that through the Avodah Kosher and Mitzrayim, the Yidden was Zeicha to Matan Torah, which is the Gili of Nigla de Torah. And then through the Avodah B'zman HaGolus, today, B'chaymer B'leveinim will be Zeicha L'asad Lavoi to the revelation of Pnimiyus HaTorah. And that's the two aliyahs. There's the Yeridim in Mitzrayim, I know there's two Yeridis, and then there's two aliyahs. And the second aliyah takes place, L'asad Lavoi. Hinei Goydil Ha'ilui De'esak HaTorah B'zman HaGolus. The greatness of a Yid learning Torah, even in the time of Golos, Mevayir Ba'aloi Lula B'sifa Asiri. The Friedrich Rebbe explains in the 10th chapter. Asiri Kodesh. The 10th is holy. The Hemshech HaMaimarim, the Yom Elula. In the Hemshech of the Maimarim of the yard side of the Yom Elula. Shesiv Zeh Hu Asiyim VaAchaysim Shal Maimer Asheni Da Hemshech. This Maimer is the end, the conclusion of the second Maimer of the Hemshech. The Maimer was printed in 4 parts. There's Basi legani, and then from Siv Vav it starts the Maimer Yesheves Baganim, and then the rest, I think, was printed in 2 parts without a Dibra Maschel, because it was after the Stalkes of the Friedrich Rebbe, and together it's 20 Yesias. But the second Maimer was Dibra Maschel, HaYesheves Baganim Chaverim Akshivim L'Keile Chashmiini. That they sit in the gardens, my friends are listening to my voice learning Torah, Hashmiini, let me hear your voice. So what's the pshat of this pasuk of the Hayeshavas Baganim? Alpi Pirish Rashi ala pasuk. So Rashi's pshat in this pasuk is Marak Kadosh Baruch Hu Knesset Yisrael. The Eibush says to Yidden at hapezura begeila. You Yidden which are scattered around in Golus. That's what it means. It says Hayeshavas Baganim. It means Yidden that are scattered around in Golus. V'roye beganim shalachayim. And you're grazing in the gardens of strangers. And yet, even during the time of Golus, Yesheves, Batik Nisiyas, Batik Midrashis, Lasik Batayra, the Yidden enter into the shuls and to daven and to learn and to be Isaac and Taira. That's the greatness of Yidden. Hine hachaverim shehem malachi asharis, our friends, which are the malachim, the Gana Kadosh Baruch Hu Kavayachal, and the Eibush himself also Kavayachal. In the beginning of the Maamar, the Friedrich Rebbe, he brings this. In the end of the Maamar, it doesn't say, but in the beginning of the Maamar, the Eibush comes himself, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he brings in the order, the Eibush himself comes, Makshivim L'Kailech, to listen to the voice of Yidden learning Torah. And as we had in the other Maamar from the Baal Shem Tov, the Eibush stands by every Yid and waits for him to say words of Torah. Yep, so this is the Teichen, the content of this pasuk of Hayeshavas Baganim is expressing the great Maila of the Limud HaTorah of Yidden, and specifically Bisman HaGolus. So much so that the Malachim and even the Eibush himself come to hear the Yidden learning Torah. Yeah. The Rebbe goes weiter. The main inyan that the Rebbe is going to focus on in this Maamar, when you look at Eis Yud, we learned Eis Yud before we began the whole Hamshach here. The Eis Yud of the Friedrich Rebbe, it's a combination of three different things. There's the Basi legani part, where the Friedrich Rebbe explains the pasuk Basi legani. There's the Hayeshavas Baganim, where the Friedrich Rebbe focuses on the pshat of Hayeshavas Baganim. Then there's the third part, where the Friedrich Rebbe talks about be'etzem hayom hazeh yotzei tzivos havai me'eretz Mitzrayim. And the reason is, as I mentioned then, the Basi legani is originally a Maamar that the Friedrich Rebbe said Parshas B'Shalach Tov Reish Pei Gimel, and the original Dibra Maschal of the Maamar was be'etzem hayom hazeh yotzei tzivos havai. So when the Friedrich Rebbe printed the Maamar in Tavshin Yud, he switched the Dibra Maschal to Basi legani. But in the end of the Eis Yud of the Maamar, you have the explanation of the pasuk be'etzem hayom hazeh and the explanation of tzivos havaya, which was the original Dibra Maschal. So that's the third part of Eis Yud. And in this Maamar, the Rebbe does not focus as much, or kamat not at all, on Basi legani and on Hayeshavas Baganim. The Rebbe is going to focus very much on tzivos havaya, on the Eibush's name tzvois, and so on. Mamshech ba'Maamar, Friedrich Rebbe continues in his Maamar, Dal Shem Zeh Nikram Yisrael tzivos havaya. Because of this avodah of Yidden that they do here in this world, the Yidden are called tzivos havaya. Shekos, as the pasuk says, Vayihi be'etzem hayom hazeh yotzu kol tzivos havaya me'eretz Mitzrayim. It was at this time that all the Yidden, the legions of Hashem, came out of Mitzrayim. Shem zeh tzivos havaya, this name that Yidden are referred to as the legions of Hashem, nitten li Yisrael b'yitziyasam Mitzrayim dafke, is given to Yidden specifically when they come out of Mitzrayim. Yesh levaya kisharon yonim. So the Rebbe says we could explain the connection to the points that the Friedrich Rebbe speaks about in this Eis. Kimash bezman yitzias Mitzrayim. Nikri Yisrael tzivos havaya. The reason why when Yidden come out of Mitzrayim, the title that they are given is tzivos havaya, legions of Hashem. Mitzad hanitzaitzis. It's because the Yidden came out of Mitzrayim, they elevated the sparks of holiness that existed in Mitzrayim. Hatzvois also refers to the holy, godly sparks that there were in Mitzrayim. Shenizbareru begolas Mitzrayim, that Yidden refined and elevated and took with them out of Mitzrayim. Moshe's Bar Kamon, as will be explained later on in the Maamar, benegayat to what happened when the Yidden came out of Mitzrayim. So the whole theme of the Maamar before is talking about the fact that Yidden during the time of Golus bring the Eibush's holiness into the Golus itself. They learn Torah in Golus and they elevate the Golus. So by Yitzias Mitzrayim, the same thing happened as well. The Yidden refined Mitzrayim and elevated the sparks and brought it with them out of Mitzrayim, and that's why they get the name tzivos havaya, as the Rebbe will explain later in the Maamar. Zeh kasher the inyan mash Yisrael nikram tzivos havaya, the inyan Hayeshavas Baganim. So this is the connection of the title that the Yidden are referred to as tzivos havaya to what it speaks about before in the Maamar, that the Yidden are sitting in the gardens of Golus. And they're learning Torah even while they're in Golus. through the avodah of Yidden, be'esak ha-Torah, v'kiyam mitzvah, learning Torah and fulfilling mitzvahs, keshehi pezura b'geila, when Yidden are scattered around in Golas, v'roye beganim shel acherim, and are grazing in gardens of strangers, al yidei zeh mevarerem es hanitzeitzes sheb'Golos, the Yidden refine all the holy sparks that exist in Golos, b'dugma, similar to what it says by Mitzrayim, v'yinatzlu es Mitzrayim, that Yidden empty out Mitzrayim, and as Rashi there says, the pshat of v'yinatzlu es Mitzrayim means that just like you have the depth of the water in the ocean is empty of fish, the Yidden emptied out Mitzrayim from all of the holy sparks that were there.
It says two things. One is dry and one is wet.
Kimitzula she'ein ba dogim, and kimitzuda, like a trap which is filled with grain, usually to trap the birds into it. Kimitzuda she'ein ba dogam. Yeah. Just finish the ice. Hinei nois of Lamashi Yisrael nikram b'shem tzivus havaya. In addition to the fact that Yidden are referred to with this title as the legions of Hashem, nikram heim gam tzvois. We find also that they're called with the term tzvois, not legions of Hashem, but tzvois, legions. As he brings in the Maimah other psukim where it says this, Vayhi b'yatzam hayem hazeh, hoitzi havayis b'nei Yisrael meretz Mitzrayim al tzivoisam, in their legions. Ki b'yatzam hayem hazeh, hoitzeisi es tzivoiseichem meretz Mitzrayim. Hefresh bein tzivois havaya, litzvois hu, the difference between these two names, whether Yidden are referred to as the legions of Hashem, or the Yidden are just referred to as tzvois, legions. Shetziv ois havaya. When you read tziv ois bechirik, hu lashon samuch. This is a word that is secondary, that's connected, that's dependent on another word. They are the legions of Hashem. Shatzvois nitvala havaya. They become secondary and connected to havaya. And utziva ois, but if you read it tzvois b'shva, hu inyan b'fnei atzmai. That's not connected to Havaya, but that's an inyan for itself, that the Yidden are the legions. And later on in the Maamar, the Rebbe will explain the significance and the difference between these two inyanim, Tzivos Havaya and Tzivos.
The previous paragraph is